Well, I'm your live stream host and spiritual business coach, Kat Connect. And on this show, I help you get clarity in your thinking, because with clear thinking, you will make great decisions in the areas of your work, your relationships, anything that's important. And I am here every other Monday at noon Pacific time and 3 o'clock Eastern time. And on today's show, we're going to look at the topic, spirit at work. We're going to really take a look. How does spirit work? There's one way. It's a bit of a double entendre. And also, how does spirit work in the area of your work? I'm going to be bringing on a very special guest who's going to help us take a look at that so that you leave today with some insight on how spirit works in your life, how you can get guidance to move forward with whatever is exciting to you today. But before I bring my guest on, I'm going to introduce something I think is fun. So we're going to have some fun on today's show. We're going to have a raffle. How many of you like a raffle? Most people do, because we like to win. So on today's show, I'm going to be raffling off a $25 gift certificate to Amazon, where you could buy my book, The Soul Search, or Kathy's book, Sermon on the Molehill, or you could just buy whatever you want. The only thing you have to do to qualify is to comment. So if you're watching the show, make a comment. If I say something you find is interesting, or you don't like it, or you have your own opinion to add, make a comment. To make it easy on you, I'm going to ask 4 questions throughout this show. And you just have to answer those questions and you will qualify. If you are here staying around to the end of the show, you're going to qualify for that gift card. You're going to get it right away. We're going to give it to you today. Okay. Here's your first question. What is your work? The work you do in the world, what you get paid for, what turns you on, your passion, whatever that might be. Just put that in the chat. What's your work? Question number 1. Now, special treat. I want to bring on my guest today, who is Reverend Kathy Norman. And Kathy is an author. She has just published a book. She is a renowned unity minister. She has done sermons all over the United States, inspired people. And Kathy is also an entrepreneur extraordinaire. And she has succeeded in ways that are really inspiring to me. And we're going to tell some stories today about how each of us have faced disasters and other things in our lives and been able to follow guidance to a place where we succeeded. So welcome to the show. Kathy, I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, it's such a joy. I'm so glad to be here.
And I'm looking for Kathy, and there she is. You just popped up like magic. Welcome, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you. It's a joy to be here.
Well, this is great.
I love it.
So I'm looking forward to, there's a story I'm going to have you tell our audience here. And to set it up, I'm going to tell a little bit of my own story. So
Good.
I don't know, around 10 years ago, I had what I call a financial disaster. It's like my finances just went into the toilet. And it was a moment where I really had to make a choice. Like, do I just sell out, let go of all my thinking about spiritual guidance and how this all really works? Or do I trust spirit and move forward to create something even better? And what I had to do at that time was I had to double my income in my coaching business. And I really got to work with spiritual principles. I got to work on really being clear. It's where I created the soul search process so that I not only doubled my income in my coaching business, Curtis was able to quit his job. And now I teach other coaches in my coaching academy how to succeed. So that's the bottom line of where I went from disaster to success. Now, I know you had an interesting journey as well. So I'd love you to tell the audience just a little bit about your journey to Florida and kind of the disaster for you and how you used guidance at that time.
Well, first of all, I want to say, the soul search technique that you do in your book is phenomenal. And I've used it many times before. So for those of you that have not gotten that book, it is pretty good.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, sure. So, it started where I was to go to Florida to help my mom and She was transitioning from being retired and selling her home and all. So I took a little time off, and Steve and I were driving cross country. So here we are. We're driving cross country from California to Florida, and the first thing we hit was a dust storm that just a rock came and hit our windshield. And it was interesting because it cut the crack was all the way from one side of the windshield to the other, and it was the exact map of where we needed to go.
Wow.
So we're from California all the way down.
Oh my God. So that's, I don't know that story. That's a great one for the audience to take. Like, sometimes our signs come in ways that are really wacky like that, but I love that you saw that.
Yes, indeed. We both saw it. It was like, oh my God, look at that. It's a map. Now, we didn't know that it was kind of like a warning, because then we start driving through Hurricane Harvey. And we got to Florida on time to get there on time for Hurricane Irma.
So it was a double whammy, right? Yeah. It was a double whammy for you.
We were getting signs along the way. This is probably not for your eye as good. But actually, in all, it was, because things got really, how could I say? I'll use the word tumultuous, because it was for me. There were situations and people that got involved in this tumultuous situation, and so then from there, though, because I had some people that really supported me, and these were people I didn't know before, but I got to know them, and they were holding me in this high place. And so when I returned back to California.
So I want to stop there, because I want to just lay something in here for the audience.
Yes.
Okay. So what I hear in that story is that you were at a place, so you say tumultuous. I'm going to put in, there were emotions, right? There were people behaving badly, maybe. I'm not going to name names. Yeah. And there might have been every reason for you to just give up, or, I'm sure you had some moments like that. What helped you to stay open to guidance so that you met these people and got that support? Because we can shut down to guidance and support when we're in a
absolutely. And that's a great question, because it was more like, when you feel like you're at your worst, and people show up to lift you up higher, it's like, okay, this is a lifeline. I better take it. And between them and my mom, and there were some other people there, we actually developed a prayer group called the Magnificent Seven. And we became this mastermind, and they were my lifeline.
So that is just so great. I mean, that's a great reminder to me personally. I'm imagining it is for a lot of the audience here, that during those times, because I know in my disaster as well, right? Yeah. When I went through when I went through that whole thing, I had my posse, I had my team, I had the people supporting me. So I used my soul search process. But you're really reminding me that it was really important also to get people to support me and people to have my back, because we all need help. That's what I do in the academy now, is I'm the person that I help people, because we can't do this alone, and we're not meant to do it alone.
No, you can't be an isolated island. There's no way you can survive on this planet Earth.
We need a tribe to help us out. That's absolutely true. Now I'm going to put another question in.
Okay.
So this is the question. Do you believe in guidance? This is for the audience. Do you believe in guidance? I'd love to hear from everybody who's out there. And if you do believe in guidance, what kind of guidance? Because sometimes guidance comes like that, like a crack in the windshield. Right? Sometimes it comes, we hear a voice. Sometimes our soul just urges us forward. So you were guided. You were so clearly guided, Kathy. When you came back from Florida, it's like you landed here, you had the Magnificent Seven. Is that what you called them?
Yeah, the Magnificent Seven.
Like the movie?
Yeah.
And then you got another, like after that, there was another piece of guidance for you that may have been a little challenging about leaving your church and moving forward with that.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest. And actually, you helped me with this, because there was this whole process of do I stay? Here are these people that I absolutely love and adore.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing sermons. I love, I love everything about the ministry. It
Yeah.
just was time. And I got this clear guidance, like, it's time for you to move on.
Mm.
And the hardest thing for me to do was to tell my board of directors, I think it's time for me to go after 15 years of being at
Yeah.
this church. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I remember talking to you because there was something that you said that when you had made a decision to do something, that it felt as if everything lifted off, like there was
Right.
this lightness that happened.
That's right.
And I remember having that conversation with you, and you also said, and trust that other doors are going to open. And I thought, okay, I just got to trust that other doors are going to open. But as soon as I made
Mm.
the decision, I can't do this anymore, I got to talk to the board. It was like this relief that I haven't felt in years. And I had
Wow.
no idea that I had been carrying that around for a very long time.
And you had
So,
no idea really what was going to
no,
happen next. So I want to underline a
no,
couple of things
no.
that you've said there around guidance. So you did come to me for help. Again, that's what we need to do. We need sounding boards. We need people in
Yes,
our life who are going to help us go, wow, what's really happening here? But when a choice is made from guidance, there's a certain feeling. It's
absolutely.
right. It's very different than, oh, I
Yeah.
just, this is a good idea. We get our ego or, controlling the outcome.
Yes.
There was a moment for you where you really, really trusted and you were willing to follow guidance. And then, so I'm going to go through 2 points because it feels good at first, right?
Yes.
Because I know that for me, when I followed guidance and I had to up my income, double it, I felt good. I was like, okay, I'm up for this. And then I was put in a very uncomfortable situation because
Right.
in order to do it, I had to do new things. I had to do marketing. I had to learn new skills. I had to be vulnerable. It was really, really uncomfortable. So, and
Did you,
we have one of our audience here, Jody, says she needs to remember to stay open, right? Every day, because guidance is fluid and accessible. That's a great tip, Jody.
yes,
So, so,
indeed.
so, so was this true for you that there was some uncomfortable? I mean, you talked about with the board, like there's something uncomfortable that
Well,
usually happens.
I came across one of my favorite quotes from J.K. Rowling, which says, anything's possible if you have enough nerve.
Ooh, I
And
love that.
I thought, okay, I've got to
Yeah.
get up my nerve. So I did it.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for them. It was uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew we had to look forward. And so I gave them, I think it was like 8 weeks of being there with the church. And more, I kept feeling free. And then it was my last Sunday. And then Monday came. And
Yeah.
I started to cry. I went into a depression, like, oh my God,
Uh,
I don't know what's next. I have no idea what's next.
well, talk about uncomfortable. I want everybody who's watching this show right now just to take a moment because this is the next question. That's you just went through maybe 6 moments that hit me as that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have to say no to people. We have to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. That's uncomfortable to say, I love you and this is done. It's finished.
Yes.
So for everybody out there in our audience, question number 3, what helps you when you're out of your comfort zone? And I want you to look in the area of work because I think being out of our comfort zone, Kathy, when it comes to our work is really specific because there's around money and it's around people. It's
Yeah.
around our self-esteem. It's around our identity, right? You are actually in some way saying, I'm letting go of an identity here.
Absolutely.
And that is really uncomfortable.
It was very,
But it's like guidance asks us to shed old clothes, right? I'm just
absolutely.
loving this image. I just got to say there's this I am image that's coming up right here with us. And I'm feeling that
Love it.
guidance, right? That's where guidance is coming through right now. So when you hit that moment,
Yeah.
it's a Monday
Yes. Yeah.
and you're like, what do I do now? how did you make it through that without just panicking? Or maybe you did panic.
I did. I went on Craigslist and I started to look at different jobs that were
Uh,
available. And there was one that I knew I could do, and that was delivering pot.
so take that, everybody watching this. Okay, this is Reverend Kathy going from the pulpit to selling pot or delivering pot. Okay. Okay, that would be a different vocation. That would
Exactly.
really
I
be.
thought, okay, I'm willing to do, and I did say to the universe, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for me to get to where I want to be. And so I had this lemon ricotta recipe. And you've tried it, my lemon ricotta cake. It's so good.
Good. Yes.
It's so good. And so I thought, okay, and I told my husband, Steve, I said, how about if I sell that at the farmer's market? And he was like, okay, well, yes, dear. He was like, so anyway, what happened was that when you go with guidance, there's synchronistic events that start happening. And all you have to do is be open to them.
And before you go forward, because you said something. You
Yeah.
said something there. And I don't think I even caught it. It like went by it. But there really is that. So you didn't know what you were going to do. You said this was it. You said to the universe, show me what's right for me. I
Right.
want that underlined, and everybody who's watching this, make underlines in that. Go write it down in your journal, because so many times we hit the point where we're following guidance, and then we go hit Craigslist. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
But that's where we stay, instead of saying, oh, well, maybe there's something better. And maybe their spirit can actually guide me. And I love that you did that and that you were open to that guidance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what happened was so great in that I got guidance the next morning. I have a little gratitude journal. I'm writing in it, and I hear this voice that says, "Tell your mom you're going to send her a lemon ricotta cake." So I said, "Okay." Called her right then and there. Mom, I'm going to send you a lemon ricotta cake. And she says, "Oh, well, that's nice, dear." And so then she said, now my mastermind group is coming over, and Hope and Tim, who are part of our Magnificent Seven, right? These are the people I met in Florida.
Okay, everybody following this? So
yes.
We're looking, I want to just tie this in. So we're talking about Kathy went through disasters. I had my disaster. She had hers. There were all kinds of weather and people, but she opened to spirit, met these people. They got on her mastermind group. Now she's baked a cake. She's telling her mom about it from guidance. And
Hope and Tim come over, and they said to my mom, we just got approached by this co-packer that said that what would really work in the supermarkets and all that is keto baking mixes. And my mom said, "Oh, isn't that something? Kathy just told me she has a recipe for lemon ricotta cake."
That's keto. Right?
That's keto. Yeah.
So Curtis says, God works through lemon ricotta cake. Right?
Yes.
No, this is a really important part of the story.
Yes.
For everybody who is listening to this.
Yes.
Because we don't ever know. It's not like you could sit down that day and say, oh, I think this is how it's going to work out. I'm going to make, you had to be open, and you followed the cues all the way through.
All the way through. And this is what you need to know about Hope and Tim. This is what they do. They take product, any kind of a product, into the supermarkets. They've taken it to all supermarkets across the country, to QVC. So they said, how would you like to partner with us?
Woohoo!
I didn't know what that meant. I said, yeah, okay, sure. Thinking that I would still sell pot on the side. Or not sell, but just deliver it for this company.
Let's be really clear. And now today, Kathy, you're in business with these people. You have a business with them, right?
We have baking mixes that will be in Whole Foods, keto baking mixes that will be in Whole Foods in 2020. We have bone broths right now that are already in Whole Foods all throughout Florida, all of the Florida stores right now.
So we want everyone to be looking for It's in the Mix. That's what it's called. It's in the mix. It's in the mix.
mix.
And that's
Yeah.
another story. We're going to tell it another time, like how that name even came, because that was also guided.
Pretty magical.
Pretty magical. So
Yeah.
here's the question I have for you about this. So I know for me, when I doubled my income in my coaching business, I was doing really well. I went to seminary.
Yes.
I thought, and I love being a minister and I love doing sermons. I thought I'm going to have my own church. And then Spirit whispered, I did the same thing that you did. I said, Spirit, show me which way to go. Like what's right for me here. And I got the nudge that I was meant to run a business academy for coaches. Like I love that. What? It was totally out of my comfort zone. It was like I was going here and Spirit said, no, I think you need to go over here. So I had to take a big leap of faith. And I'm wondering for you, was there a moment when you needed to take a big leap of faith? When you let go of the church and now these people want you to, right? What was that like for you, that leap?
I just knew without a doubt that there was a net. That God has got my back, that if I was about ready to jump off the cliff, I was going to be fine.
Wow.
And both Steve and I talked about it, like, okay, should we invest our money in this? Should we go forward in this? And everything inside of us said, God's got this. So we did it. And this company is spiritually based. It's the foundation. Our affirmation is God's in the mix.
I love that. I love for you, Kathy, that, and I hear this throughout your story, that taking the leap for you, trusting guidance, whether it's a hurricane or whether it's leaving your church, you have done the spiritual work to be tuned in.
Yeah.
And you take the steps.
Yeah.
You do it, right? Because you all along in these stories, you could have listened to guidance and not gone forward. It's really easy to, when we're asked to do that leap, to actually step back, to sell out on ourselves. I know I've done that. I'll just say, I've done that. I've been guided and then I've stepped back. But you stepped forward and took that leap.
Well, and you and I have talked about this, that the way to listen to guidance is that if it's a yes, it feels very expansive.
It's yes. That's one of the things is, where's your bigger yes? What's the bigger yes? Is this a yes? And that answer comes right away. It doesn't have to be logical.
No.
It doesn't have to, but when you hear the yes, and I know you get into action around it.
Oh, yeah.
This is part of my crusade is, wow, I love spiritual guidance, but you got to get into action. Spirit can't do it if you're laying around, munching on Cheetos. Okay. So here is my fourth question. I think this is my last question. Yeah. Fourth question to our audience. Where have you taken a leap and it's worked out for you? And I'm asking this question so you might win the raffle. So anybody, you might have joined the show, we're having a raffle. You can win a $25 gift card. Yay. You want to do that, right? But you can only win it if you answer a question or put something in the comments. And part of why I want to know is, I'm curious personally, but I know that when we track things, so that's why I love a story like yours, Kathy, and why I tell my stories so often is because we go, if Kat and Kathy could do it, I can do it. Or we know, my gosh, I did it 10 years ago. I did it 5 years ago. Sometimes we're not even aware that we've listened to guidance and we've taken the right steps. So I want to put in here, kind of in the little time we have left, I have a couple of tips I want to give people. But what's one thing from your book? So Kathy also has written a book, right? This woman has been busy. Sermon on the Molehill. It's a fabulous book. It has so many inspiring stories. But what is one thing that kind of on this topic that the people who buy this book and read this book could learn about about spirit at work, how spirit could guide them in the area of their work?
Oh gosh, one of the things about this book is just full of stories.
Yeah.
And as far as how it could guide them through in their work, it's just, I suggest
You're
just,
not going to pin it down, are you?
I know, you just open it up, and there'll be something right there that will
Yeah.
guide you to your next step.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to challenge everyone who's watching right now. I'm going to challenge you all to go get this book. I want you to do that and let us know, what were you guided to? That is one of my number one ways of being guided. It's my number
Yes.
one ways. You can see behind me, I have books, right? I pull my own book out, but I pull a book off the shelf and I just go, okay, what's the guidance?
Yeah.
So
there
there's
you
a tip. There's a tip right there. There's our first tip of the day. Before we do the raffle, we have a couple of tips. There's a tip. Guidance comes in books. I continually get new books on my bookshelf so I can have that fresh kind of guidance. Here's a tip, and I'm curious, how this has worked for you, Kathy. I say you have to be in it for the long game. Like,
Yes.
when we get guidance, sometimes people think that means, oh, now it's all going to, like, get guidance, whether it's a scratch across the windshield, like, be willing to go all the way and keep listening.
Yes, absolutely. Because that thing, going to Florida, happened in 2017. It's 2019 now. These were small little steps that needed to happen.
Right.
And I can't wait to
Right.
see what today's guidance brings me in my future, because so far
Right.
so good.
And we don't ever know. We just had
No.
a comment there from one of the people watching. It's like she got guided to a particular job and
Yeah.
that really worked out and inspired her. Right. And then we don't know it. We can't make up. Is that we just keep in for the long run of keep listening and keep moving.
Yes, indeed.
Now, here, before we do the raffle, this is a tool I use. This is a tool I use. I use it every day. Some people maybe want to use it every week. I call it my manifesting plan. So when I sit down to plan my week, I do two things. I put in, where are my spiritual practices? Where is my self-care? I want to look at my schedule and see, oh, that's when I'm going to, pray or meditate or read a spiritual book, right? And
Yes,
then I make sure that's in my plan.
totally.
Right? Because
That's
without that, we're just kind of, phoning it in.
right. Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing. Every morning you start off that way.
Every morning.
Every morning,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
your gratitude journal, read something that's inspirational, do a little meditation and prayer, and then call your friends and make sure you're in line.
That's right. That's another tip. I love that.
Yeah.
And the second part of this planning that I do is I look at what are the baby steps. Because I find often people, and this is really true with the coaches I work with, because they want to get their businesses growing and they want it to happen right now. And they want to go do big things. And they forget
Yes.
that it's all about the baby steps. You got to do the thing that's here today and you got to do the thing that's next. And like you just
Absolutely.
said, right? Over a couple of years, it all adds up.
It does.
Yeah, right. So
Yes.
that to me is those are the two really important things. And I have a manifesting map. Has the soul search in, but I have a manifesting map. And anybody of you out there who wants that, just drop that in the comments. Say, Kat, send me your manifesting map, because it will remind you because I need reminders. I'm a minister and I'm a business coach, but I need reminders to keep connected and to keep moving forward from that inspiration. It's really important to me. And friends are reminders too.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready, Kathy? I have the last card that I was reminding myself, because we've made a promise here. So why don't you and we're going to kind of do, let's see. I have a magic wand.
Ooh,
We're going to wave this over all of the people who have been watching our show, who have been supporting this show, who have been talking about guidance and being guided. And our producer, Joey, our wonderful producer, Joey, is going to pick one person from guidance. She's going to allow spirit to work through her.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So Joey is going to tell us who this person is, and I'm going to announce it right here on the show. Before that happens, as she's getting ready to make this announcement, I want to thank you, Kathy, for being on the show and being willing. Yeah, really being willing to share that story.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you. I
that,
haven't.
that's a great story.
Oh, and you are just the best interviewer. I really appreciate it.
Well, I know this has been inspiring. I will have you back at
Yes,
another time because I really want to unpack some more. And as your products go to work, and remember to go out there and get Kathy's book. It's called Sermon on the Molehill. You will
there you
not be
go.
sorry. Okay. So I want to tell, I'm waiting for the name has not come up, but if you don't, if I don't see the name in a minute, Jody
Jody!
Bogard! Woo! Congratulations to Jody. She's the winner. All
Yay!
right. So Spirit was at work today and chose Jody. And for all of you who have been watching, thank you. And I get a lot of comments from people who come back and watch. So if you're watching this later, thank you for being here with us. And you can join us every 2 weeks. So come back 2 weeks from now on Monday. I believe it is November 18th. And I will be here Pacific time at noon and Eastern time at 3 o'clock. I'm Kat Connect, and this is the Soul Search. And go out there and be the joy. Thanks for joining me today.